I work for a company called Ziba. Have you ever heard of us? No? Yes? Couple? Rock on. Well done. What is Ziba? We're a human-centered design and innovation firm. And that's a big mouthful, and I can't explain it to my mother. But essentially, the big idea is that we worry a lot about how customers use our products because we spend a lot of time designing them. We want to make sure they're actually good. And if you think about us, we got our start back in '84 working on industrial design products, which means we work on physical products. And one of the insights we had from that is that we were winning a ton of awards, which is great, but our stuff wasn't selling in the market, which is not so great. So we instead had this customer insights group to really try to research what's the right thing, and then go back to our customers and tell them maybe you want this other thing instead. Because the bets that they were making on physical product meant that they had to stand up a factory, which is like a $50 million bet. So you want to make sure it's the right bet. And the way you do that is you find out what people actually want. That's enough about Ziba. I want to talk about my customer. So I do a lot of work with a company called FedEx. You probably know them. You may use them. FedEx is, if you really start thinking about them, in the 70s, they figured out this amazing thing. They could put a product on a plane and fly that to Memphis and then do this amazing weird sort down maneuver, which is a complete panic attack from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I've been there, it's crazy. And then put it on another plane and then fly it to New York, and then you can deliver your thing, or Shanghai for that matter, in 24 hours. It's amazing. It looks like that. And which doesn't make any sense. I have an animated one, it's better. The big idea is that they generate a ton of data, and what they realized early on, 77, is that data had value. In fact, possibly more so than the actual package itself, which is brain-breaking. It's also one of my favorite vision statements in all of American business. And so the way that you do that is that you have these huge server arrays that generate terabytes of data, and they've been doing that forever. In the 80s, they were the Amazon of their time. And that is a lot of information. And so they have all these guys, buildings full of process engineers, so engineers in the traditional sense, not developers, who dig through all that data in things that look like this. Looks great, right? The problem that they run into is that this type of system goes all the way through their whole system, and so it hits people who work at service centers and at the kind of the end result. So they came to us and they said, hey, we want to give all of the managers who work at kind of those end nodes tablets, but our system doesn't work. Can you redesign it so it works on a tablet? So this is what they wanted from us. But you know, you always have to ask, is that really what you need? And is this the right tool? Because ultimately, really, data doesn't necessarily mean information. If you're not developers, not equals. None of my designers had any idea what that was. And so it's important for us to like kind of dig in and really understand, like, is this the right thing for the people? Is this what they need? So we went in the field and we talked to the people. And so what we found is that those tools were designed for guys with master's degrees, but the guys who actually worked in the field, they all have high school degrees. Their job is to go and make sure they're delivered packages on time, and then yell at them when they didn't. And so they were digging into these tools to find out if their people actually did their jobs. But it took them 2 hours. They'd show up at 5 a.m. I talked to this guy. He showed up in the morning, and I shadowed him, and he clicked on a link and then hit back, and clicked on a link and hit back, and clicked on a link and hit back, and I go, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, well, my manager said that all these had to be purple before I started my day. And there's your quant versus qual moment right there. Quant said every report was important. Qual said none of these reports matter, because really all he wanted to do was be able to go out and hang out with his people and say, hey, why didn't you make that delivery? That's where he needed to be. So they needed to be mobile, and they needed to be given the information they had at the time. So we went back home, and that's the requisite picture of me pointing at an interface. But the reality is that we figure out like what it was that they needed, and we had to design it for mobile because they needed to literally be mobile. And so when we start thinking about the history of interfaces, FedEx was very much still here in a lot of places. They were in the 3270 land where computers were slow and people had to do all of the work themselves in order to get meaning. They needed to be here, but that wasn't true anymore. So we redesigned it. And it's, the net result of it is not the most beautiful thing, which is always vexing for Ziba, because everything we do is beauty. Ziba means beauty in Farsi, by the way. But it doesn't matter, because what it actually did beautifully is it gave people exactly what they needed at the moment that they needed it. So they could just dig in and say, who didn't deliver their package yesterday? Oh, it was Joe. I need to go walk over to him and go talk about that. What happened? What's going on? The whole reason I talked about this is that I find when I come to customer experience types of talks, everyone talks about their outward customer, and no one talks about their internal customer. And so this is a moment where we had to design something using all of the tools of customer experience for the internal customer, because it made their jobs better. And then it made them better at their jobs, which then made everything better for their customers. It's a couple of steps. So in order to do that, you have to be curious, because people are messy, and it's fun. And then you can make better solutions because of that. So that's my really quick, fast talk. You can hit me on all the socials and go yell at me about things. But everyone else here is an owner of a company, and I'm the weird mercenary. And so I could talk to you about that stuff. Thank you.